Hi everybody. I'm going to talk about my journey as a midwife. I think if I could change it though, after I'd done the presentation, I would have named it Survival of Midwifery in a Fear-Driven, Risk-Adverse Society. And that's based on the happenings in our practice in Pretoria over the last couple of months. But my journey as a midwife started right here in Cape Town, where I did my training at Mowbray. MOUs instinctively felt like the right choice. So it was interesting for me to hear quite a few negative comments coming out of this weekend about the MOUs. Because when I worked in the MOUs years ago, I loved it. And honestly, I thought, why on earth would a woman not birth with a midwife? But I was obviously blessed, and maybe there's negativity around MOUs, but so many midwives have come out of that with positive experiences. And I think that's a little seed. In 1992, I got married and moved off to Pretoria. And I found a job. I could hardly speak Afrikaans at that point, and I was guided to a maternity home in Pretoria that was English speaking, and I got a job in labour ward there. I loved it. I loved the teamwork and the camaraderie, but there were many frustrations as the protocols and policies seemed to completely overrule all the instincts of a midwife with care, compassion, commitment, and gentleness. So just basically my road after that. In 1998, I went into private practice as an independent midwife. I was given a very good opportunity by somebody. I was a single mom of a little boy, and I couldn't financially afford to take the risk in private practice. But I was given an opportunity to be paid a salary and become a private midwife, which was a perfect stepping stone for me. And it was by somebody that's got you probably all know Sister Lillian. But anyway, I worked for her initially, and that's how I got into private practice. And I'll forever be grateful, because I was really one of the lucky ones. In 2001, I went solo completely, leaving Sister Lillian. And by then I had negotiated for birthing rights at 3 different hospitals in Pretoria. At that stage, there were 4 midwives, including myself, in Pretoria. And we were mainly doing home births, and then one maternity home where I had worked in the labour ward. We had birthing rights there, and there was a little birth unit there as well that we worked from. But by 2001, we had 3 different hospitals that would allow us to work in their facilities on condition we didn't ask their staff anything, and they didn't touch our patients, and we signed an indemnity clause saying that they were not going to be at any risk, the midwives and the staff, that is, from us private midwives. In 2006, I was again lucky. I got given an opportunity to build and manage a midwife unit in Pretoria at a Netcare facility, which was great because the previous birthing unit had long since closed down. It wasn't great business sense because myself and 2 partners, we built it, we paid for it, we managed it, and the hospital managed to get all the facility fees and everything for it. But it gave us another great opportunity to give women in Pretoria a safe place to birth. And again, I'll forever be grateful for that opportunity. In 2010, the partnerships unfortunately dissolved negatively, very negatively, but Midwives Exclusive was established, and I started actually employing staff. Now, I wrote there, who thought a midwife could do this? I wrote there to just say, you know what, we're not just nurses and midwives. There's opportunities out there, and we don't have to be embarrassed to actually to make something of ourselves. It's okay to make some money with what we do. It's okay. Everybody can benefit here, and that's the whole objective, I think. In 2011, we were nominated, Midwives Exclusive was nominated for the Small Business of the Year Award in Gauteng. There were 60,000 nominations, and we came in the top 10. which was incredible. It was such motivation for us, and for midwifery. That was quite a year, which was great because in 2012, my lovely birth unit that I'd put a whole lot of money, heart, and soul into got knocked down and turned into an IVF lab. And we were given a week's notice to get out, and we had about 100 women that were booked to birth there over the next 9 months, it was devastating. And we were left reeling, wondering what on earth we were going to do. How could we fulfill our commitment to the women that wanted to use a birthing unit facility? They did rebuild it, but it was going to be a year. And in that year, we had to do something to protect the women that we had committed to help through their birth experiences. And that's when the birth house was conceived. I'll get back to that just now. And then in 2013, another highlight was that Best Med, after 3 or 4 years of negotiations, and many of our beautiful, strong moms that we dealt with, fighting with Best Med and other medical aids, Best Med came and they negotiated, and we fought and we talked and we met and we negotiated some more. And finally, in 2013, they became the first medical aid in South Africa to commit to cover 100% of midwife negotiated fee. And hope I negotiated enough because it was me that negotiated it. But not only that, but they've also put the birth house and midwife-led care as the recommended service provider for women wanting natural birth in South Africa, which I think is quite something, and hopefully the other medical aids will start following suit. Okay, back to the birth house. It had always been my dream, as I think most midwives have a dream, to have a beautiful sacred birthing space for women. My actual dream is to do it way far in the bush, where every woman has their own little house, and the midwives also have their own space, so they don't have to be in the woman's birthing space at all. But yeah, close as that is the birth house in Pretoria. It had been my dream to have a birthing space for women, and I kept thinking of reasons over the years why I couldn't possibly do it. From reasons, financial reasons, how could I afford it? It was a risk. I've got a family that I need to look after. To what staff would work at something like that? Who else could I get to buy into my idea? Department of Health was another consideration. There's no way I could get a license to do it. And when I did speak to people in Department of Health, it was always met with, we'll build it and then apply for a license and we'll see. But do you know you've got to have a theatre and a neonatal ICU? And I mean, it's just, it's like winning the lotto. There's no way, no how. So I shelved it. And then the other big question that I always thought, or the question I always had was, but who would birth at a birth house? You're either going to birth in a birth unit in a hospital, or you're going to birth in your own home. Why would you want to birth in somebody else's house? So I never really looked into it. But then finally in 2012, with the birthing unit being knocked down and nowhere to go, I was nudged, pushed, rolled from all directions. And finally, I woke up one morning thinking, but how can I not open a birth house? It's crazy. I mean, it's the logical thing to do. It's so easy. It's suddenly just, my whole mindset changed. And we went looking for a house to turn into our birth house. It's just a house. It's simple. It's a home. It's not fancy. It's expensive, but it's not sitting on the hill in the posh suburbs or anything. It's just a house that we've turned into a place where everybody can get together, where women can come to feel safe for their birth options, for their antenatal care, for their births if they choose to birth there, for their postnatal care, for massages, for reflexology, to meet their doulas. I can't even think what else. There's so much stuff that goes on in that place. So the recipe was quite simple. To keep the vision that we've opened a birth house. It's not a clinic, it's not a hospital. There's no theatre facility there, and there's no license for it because there's no license available for something like a birth house in South Africa. There's a license for a day clinic, and there's a license for MOUs, but in Pretoria, MOUs, I think there's only about 1 or 2, and they're not very well known about. or well run for that matter. So we looked for a house close to the backup hospital, both the state hospital and the private hospital that accepts midwives. Is 4 minutes drive from the birth house, literally. We looked for a house relatively close to centrally situated. So we've got a good catchment area. And then, a team of supportive people holding me up when I felt my faith wavering, including family, midwives exclusive team, which had grown quite dramatically by that stage, and friends. And after buying the house, we put 6 weeks hard blood, sweat and tears into it, renovating it. And this was done by the midwives and the rest of the midwives exclusive team. We polished, we scrubbed, we painted, we stripped parquet floors, we got blisters, and we were blessed with a quiet birthing month that month, which was great. This is just a picture of the room, just to show you it's simple. It's a bedroom. It's not fancy. We use a portable bath, the Birthworks bath, because we like the single liner aspect to prevent infection. And we've got a tap that's in the wall that we just open and run, so there's no risk of infection there. And it's really not complicated. This is the back area of the house. And there you'll see one of our moms that gave birth a couple of months ago. This was about an hour before her little boy was born. This is the midwife's exclusive family, including our doulas, reflexologists, admin staff, midwives. You have to believe with all your heart and know with certainty that you're doing good and making a difference. This is not difficult when you love what you do. And I think all midwives will agree with that. It's not difficult to be kind to somebody, to show love. For those of you that are more right-brained, at this stage, it's been 19 months since we opened the house. We've done 146 births at the house. One baby was transferred and treated for an infection. 2 moms were transferred with postpartum complications, and 7 women were transferred in labor for analgesia or Caesar or instrument birth. We only take on low-risk moms there. We don't do anything we shouldn't. So on average, just to give you the bigger picture, on average we do around 26 births a month between the 4 midwives at Midwives Exclusive. We do births at the birth house. About 30% of our births are done at the birth house. We also do home births and births at the hospital birthing unit, which subsequently opened, and it's a very nice hotel room looking facility, but it's nice, it's better than a labor ward. And then we offer a lot of other complementary services as well, and the aim is to have a sort of a one-stop shop. I never really expected the birth house to be so successful. We have offered an alternative to those who don't want a hospital birth, don't feel they want to use their own home, or live really far away. It's a more affordable birth option with the highest standard of care and the best chance of a natural birth. It takes some of the load, albeit small, from the state system that's bursting at the seams. This is a viable solution in South Africa, and it's not difficult. Last but not least, we're making a sustainable living with a high degree of satisfaction. So I feel everybody wins, from the woman, the strong, amazing woman that chose to birth with midwives, to the midwives, to me owning a business, and the midwives working for me. I think it's great, and the state sector for that matter. As with anything, there are some challenges. I'm just going to briefly mention them. I don't need to go into detail. I know my time's up. Some of the challenges would be the doctors not supporting midwife-led care. On Friday, as I arrived in Cape Town, I got an email from our very last backup gynecologist in the private sector saying to us that she will no longer be supporting our midwives from the end of November. So I don't know what we're going to do, but anyway, we've got 6 months to figure it out. They're scared of indemnity risk. Doctors are being sued left, right, and center. I can understand their fear, but midwives need to keep strong. Medical aids not paying is another big challenge. Bad debt in terms of the business, running of the business. Midwives or nurses aren't trained in business. And if I could change one thing about nursing training or education, it would be to include running your own business in that aspect, because that's probably one of my biggest challenges. The ever-changing environment, as with anything, things change. My office manager, who's been with me for 8 years, arrived in Stellenbosch yesterday. She's moved, her husband got a job here. So if anybody's looking for somebody amazing, talk to me. Midwives not honouring their profession, there's also something we sit with that is a problem. And if we don't honour our profession and step carefully, we are going to be blown out of the water. It's a difficult line we walk. And then, yeah, the normal things that we all go through: exhaustion, frustration, hopelessness. This is our wall of fame. This is the wall at the birth house that we've kept open. And every baby that's taken its first breath at the birth house, we put its footprint on. You can see the height of the midwives by these footprints. And the reason for this is just to show you that when I'm doubting it and I want to throw it all in and run for the hills, I go and I stand at this wall and I look. And I think to myself, well, I can't be doing too badly. These footprints can't lie. This is the reality. These feet, these moms that have given birth to these babies are happy. Thank you. That's my story.